So, g'day everyone. My name's Craig Bullock. For you who don't know me, I started Mates Matter New Zealand probably around about 8 months ago, and it was all around wanting a community to a place where people can come to talk about how they're feeling, to pass on tools and things like that, and show that it's not weak to open up. And I'm excited today to have Gina along to come and talk to us about some tools that she has that she can pass on. And Donna's also here because she's worked with Gina in the past. So you get a perspective of me, who knows nothing about what Gina's about to talk about, and Donna, who has worked with her in the past as well. So just also a preface to this, the Facebook Live might drop out. We were playing around yesterday and it did a couple of times, I guess, with the amount of people that are using it at the moment. So I am recording it on Zoom. So if you do miss anything, it will go on the Facebook page later, but do stay there because it will pop up. So yeah, let's get on and welcome both of you. Hope you're doing well.
Thank you.
Yeah, great.
I just want to say first that I'm really excited to get this opportunity to join this conversation today. I think that the group that you've got going here, Craig, is incredibly valuable to everybody out there. So I'm just really grateful to be able to get this chance to talk to you guys today. Just a little bit about myself. I've been coaching since 2005 and I've been using those skills inside the company that I was working for at the time as an HR manager. But then recently decided to start my own business so that I could help more people than I could working inside someone else's business. So I'm a mum of 2 boys, school-aged, and I live here in Hamilton with my family. That's about me, really.
Cool. And hello, Donna.
Hi. How are you?
Good, thank you. How's your little bubble going over there?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, we've doing a lot of biking. Sore bottoms, but yeah, we're blessed to be in the Coromandel because our house is on the market and all packed up. House is empty, so it's kind of strange, but it's a beautiful place to be. So yeah, I'm a Hamiltonian too, born and bred, gone away, come back a couple of times, and have been coaching, and with my background of addiction, which I use broadly, is the eating disorder of bulimia that I had for about 18 years, on and off, but mostly on. 3 years ago, used all sorts of therapies, techniques, philosophies, principles, different coaching. So I've tried them all, through the medical model of, the public health system as well, and privately. So yeah, mum of 2 boys as well, a teenager and a 3-nager. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
I mean, now's probably a really good time for us to have this conversation, because even for me this morning, I will put my hand up and say that I did have a meltdown. There were tears, and they were ugly tears. I thought that I was coping, and all of a sudden realised that, yeah, I'm not. This whole unknown. I'm thankful that I've got such an amazing wife that she was able to put it all into perspective for me. Where I think I'd lost that perspective. I think I'd sort of felt like everything was against me and I was only in this by myself. But she was able to sit me down and have a good old chat and put it into terms when I could sort of realise that we're all in this together. We're going to get through this and things like that. So I'd love to hear, Gina, why am I feeling like this? How we can get through and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let me just start really quickly. For those of you who don't know a lot about life coaching, I'm not going to get into the detail of it right now, but I just wanted to give you a really quick overview of the difference between therapy and counselling and life coaching. It's really important to know that therapy is focused on your past, and is often sort of pinpointed right down onto childhood to explain the current issues that you're having right now in the present moment. And life coaching is focused on the present moment and on the future. and it's more about empowering people to take responsibility for their lives right now and take responsibility for creating their futures. I believe that there are things that happen to us that really need therapy of some kind so that we can heal. And I think, Donna, you're an example of that, where you've been able to heal the bulimia and all the things that were going on for you around that time with therapy. And it's a beautiful thing. It really is. I'm all for therapy in those circumstances. I've even had clients actually who have been in therapy while they're in coaching as well, and it's been really, really valuable for them. But I also think that there are a lot of things in our pasts that don't require us to talk about them over and over and over again to solve. But it's all really dependent on the person and on the situation and the circumstances. So in coaching, it's all about self-exploration and self-knowledge. Can encompass things like professional development and goal setting, weight loss, breaking old habits, things like that. So your coaching relationship should challenge you to grow and move forward. And it requires that you take a lot of action so that you can change your life. It's all about taking back control. So yeah, so that's a little bit about the difference between coaching and therapy. Got any thoughts about that or any questions, guys?
No, I mean, I like the part about goal setting. I mean, I'm big on goal setting. Anyone that's seen probably a lot of my posts on this page will see that, yeah, I'm big on it, because I think you've got to have that. For me personally, it's that I have that big hairy ass goal, that BHAG, which for me was Ironman. You can see over the shoulder there, it was the top I wore when I did Ironman, and that was my big goal. When I first had that goal, I couldn't run a couple of 100 meters without keeling over. So there was no way that I was going to hit that goal without having those little goals to step up into. And I love hearing that, yeah, that goal setting is part of it, because it is, for me, it's a big part of how I, on my journey, got back to where I am today.
Absolutely. And I think for me, it's coaching is transformational. It's about change. And because that's all a goal is. It's about change, making change in your life right now to be somewhere different down the line. So yeah, for sure.
I love your I guess the way you put it in language, and I hadn't even thought of it this way because I've done coaching with you and therapy, is that therapy and counselling is more about your past. And so there's definitely aspects of it where it can be about future, but it's always from the perspective of why you're doing it, because of your past, yada yada. And I'm sure there are also specialists that will argue that, well, no, it's not, not entirely, but in terms of the overarching medical model, yes. And also that coaching is more future based, and that I think that's why it challenges me more, because unlike Craig, I don't really like setting goals, because in my past I set a lot of goals, like losing weight, getting to this point, not eating for this amount of hours or days, and I completely self-sabotage myself. So setting big goals is actually really scary for me, and that's also why I find coaching difficult, but it's challenging because I'm setting goals in for the right purpose, with the right intention.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I guess the goal setting thing for me is about the why. I could say that, hey, I want to do Ironman, but why? For me, it was because I wanted to make sure that the black dog was out of my life. So it was just more than just going, oh yeah, I've finished a race, or why do you go to the gym? Because I want to get fit. But why do you want to get fit? There has to be that why behind it, I guess, for me, rather than going, I just want to lose weight. Why? Is it because you've got kids that you want to be able to run around with, or whatever? It's just one of those things. Is the why? It's a constant thing I always ask myself. Why am I doing this?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's that compelling reason to get it done, right? The why. And for everybody, it's different. I've had clients who's compelling, and it's really compelling for them, their compelling reason to lose weight was just because they wanted to look good in a bikini. And that doesn't make it any less important to them than a big why of, I want to, beat depression or get rid of the black dog, for sure. But it's just all it is just got to be compelling enough to get you to move and take action. So that's, really, really cool. So you mentioned earlier, Craig, that you thought that you were coping and there was a bit of a meltdown, meltdown today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we won't go into that right now, but I think that's just what I want to say is that it's really, really normal for you to be feeling right now. And a lot of people are having meltdowns, or they're feeling anxious, or they're feeling overwhelmed. And I think what I want to assure everybody, and not just you guys, is that it is completely normal and it is completely natural to be feeling like that at the moment. And also that there is nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. So,
I guess I just lost perspective of that. I just forgot that we're all in this together. We're all going through this. And my wife sat me down, and the way she explained it to me was in a way that I understood, and was in a way that she put it into pretty much the terms of when we're training for an event like Ironman. Hey, you break it down into days, you break it down into half days, and so on and so forth, rather than go, we're only 2 weeks in, we've got another 2 weeks, but after 2 weeks, we don't know how far it's going to be. Let's just go day by day. And I just having it explained to me like that, and having someone like that in my bubble, it was just amazing. I just went, yep, these ugly tears, well, let's move on and go from there. I felt better after it, but it was just one of those things that I think it was just, I thought I was coping, but I wasn't.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that I think you were coping. I mean, it probably, we could probably say that by having a meltdown or big ugly man tears or whatever you wanted to call them, was you not coping. But actually, I would disagree with that a little bit. I actually think that is you coping, and that is you doing what you need to do right in that minute to get a little bit of release and a little bit of calm and perspective back on it, right?
Yeah.
Because what your wife did for you, which was really lovely, is that she was actually able to give you some of her thoughts to think so that you felt better. And she was able to take this big event of I'm feeling overwhelmed and I'm not coping, and she was able to chunk it down into something that was manageable so that it didn't feel so overwhelming. So it was really lovely. You've got fantastic support.
I certainly do. And I think there's probably so many families or people in our situation. So both of us are working. We've got a 2.5-year-old. We're trying to work full time. You're juggling the wee guy, and it's sort of like you're never feeling as though you're switched off. You're always feeling as though you're on the clock. I know it sounds bad, because I mean, parenting to me is a privilege, and I absolutely love it. And I just want to give my best for my son. And I just felt like that, trying to work, looking after the wee guy, my wife's working as well, we're juggling that. I was like, I wasn't giving 100% to everything, and I want to be able to do that. And I think now is probably the time to go, geez, 80% is probably good enough, because we've just got to get through. And it's not forever.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let me explain to you why we're feeling overwhelmed right now. There's a part of our brain, that's called the cerebellum, and its job is to keep us alive. And I like to call it our primitive brain, because it's been keeping us alive in the same way since the beginning of mankind. This primitive part of our brain is always scanning for danger. And it takes a lot of notice of things that are really scary, because scary things are dangerous, and danger means that we could die. So right now, there are a lot of scary messages coming at us, and our poor primitive brains, the cerebellum, is almost getting constant messages of danger and death. And this is keeping us in a really heightened state of alert, like cortisol is, and anxiety, it's all leveled. So, excuse me, this in part is helping generate that overwhelm, anxiety and worry, and not, feeling like you're not coping. It's all just because of the way that your brain has been wired to constantly scan and look for danger, and it's getting a lot of it right now. So the good news though, Craig, is that your brain is working perfectly. So it's doing exactly what we want it to do, which is to scan for danger and to keep you alive. Another thing that I just want to let you know too is that in order for news outlets to get high ratings, we need to watch and consume their content. okay? And one way to get our attention is to scare us. It's their job to scare us, to get our attention so that we watch the news, so that we consume all their content. Now, no, I'm not saying it's malicious, or that you should stop watching the news, but I think it's a good thing to be aware of when you are on social media, when you are watching the news, that the news media, they know how to get your attention through scaring you at the moment, and they're doing a really good job. But yeah, just be aware of that, because if you're aware of it, then you know that maybe you just need to take a break from it, or just take what they say with not a little bit of a grain of salt, but go, okay, I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed right now, and that was their intent, and that's okay. And everything's working okay. Yeah. So that was just one other thing I wanted to say. The other thing is too, is that you made a mention of, you're feeling like you're always on the clock. And that is because your poor brain has got so many messages coming at it. It's always on the clock at the moment. It's not getting a break. It's got a lot more things that it needs to think about. So all completely normal. You're not broken.
Yeah, I guess I don't think I was, but it's just sort of like just this morning. I don't know why. I just decided to,
freak out.
Freak it. Yeah, it was. It was like, well, I guess I'm probably exhausted as well as everything else going on. It's like, shit, really?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I know for me, I really struggled with the overwhelm and the anxiety of going into lockdown. So the 2 days, 3 days before and the day of, I was a mess. And so the anticipation of how terrible this could be, being stuck in a house with my partner and child, and the older one was already going away. So that relieved some other challenges. But that was, and now that I'm in it, I'm like, wow, I made a lot of fuss and bother for something that I'm really, my biggest challenge now is sort of, what am I going to do with my time? Do I have to go on another bike ride? Do we have to play another 3-year-old game? And working between Brad and I is working, and also in our relationship, how is he feeling about all this? Because as men out there, being the main breadwinner while I'm at home part-time and then doing other stuff, this is more like my current life, whereas for him it's just, and so I'm sort of anxious about his anxiety and how he's ready to go back, and he's starting to feel very itchy and uncomfortable about now's time to go.
Yeah, absolutely. But how do you feel like when you do get out and you do get the exercise and your brain is just given a break from the news and the social media, though? Do you find that it helps?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And for me, that's definitely one of my pillars of well-being and health. And I do have to be careful because of my history and my very, very strong brain connections and that I've broken over the last few years, of not taking it too far and knowing when enough is enough, because as long as you keep going, you're going to need more to keep getting that same kind of dopamine hit of those good feel good, those other chemicals that are released when you exercise. So it has to be, again, with the right why, not because of losing weight. It's because of getting fresh air, being out in nature, riding with the kids, those sorts of things.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, for me, it is the physical activity is for my mental well-being. Physical well-being, that's a bonus. When I started my journey way back when, I was 120 kgs. I've lost a lot of weight since then, but it wasn't all about that. It was what was going on up here. That's helped me to be where I am now. So I think the whole lot, the physical and mental, do work. It's holistic for me. It's everything's one. You can't separate the two. So for me, physical activity is huge. I think at the moment, the people we have within our bubbles, even outside our bubbles like this, just having a chat with like-minded people is just amazing. Being able to talk to others and have open, honest conversations. I think this is a bonus for social media. Sometimes it's not good, but I think it's helping a hell of a lot of people at the moment.
Absolutely. And on that social media thing, I just want to say too, is that it's not a bad thing. You know, it's a good thing to take a break. And I think that's a really good way to help yourself feel a little bit better right now, is to take a break from social media. But just take a look at the result that whatever you're doing gives you in your life. So the social media is a really good example. If you are feeling overwhelmed and you feel like you need a break, that you've been on the clock and you just want to chill out, and just scrolling through some more positive social media is going to bring that for you, and it does make you relax a little bit, then I'm all for it. It's a very good thing. But if you find that you're just getting more anxious and overwhelmed by what you're finding on social media, and you're just getting more tense and a bit grumpy and snappy, then for sure, it's just checking in and making sure that whatever you're doing is bringing the right results that you want in your life.
Yeah,
Sure.
and I think there's like social, it can go down a hole and you can lose hours and hours. And I think when you feel as though you're on a clock all the time, it's probably a good thing just to go, there's my phone, I'm just going to put that aside. Where you go.
Yeah.
And just have that time for yourself or those around you.
Yeah, for sure. I think another thing for me that has helped for me to feel better, because even though I'm a life coach, I'm still human. So I'm still going through all of this with everybody too, is that I love, instead of consuming, getting creative. So take up a new hobby. There's nothing that you can't really learn on the internet right now. I mean, if you Google something on YouTube, you can learn how to do something new. And that can give your brain a bit of a break from panic and worry to being creative, and that can really help as well. The other thing is, in coaching, we call it a thought download, but I also like to call it unpack your brain. And it is just simply at the beginning of the day, or whenever you're feeling really overwhelmed or a little bit anxious or worried, or even when you're feeling happy, you don't have to do it, necessarily with a negative feeling, is to just get a piece of paper and a pen and just write down every thought that you've got going on in your head. And you don't need to do anything with them or judge them or anything like that, but just the art of being able to get it out of your head and onto paper. You can screw up the piece of paper and throw it away. Just will help you feel a little bit better and get a little bit more relaxed. The key is not to judge yourself for what is coming out on the piece of paper, of course, for sure.
Perfect.
So
No, that's cool. The whiteboard just behind you there.
yeah,
I guess we've got some time. We have time. I think we've got time.
we do. So I wanted to just run through this coaching tool that we have within my program and within my training. It's called the model. I did not come up with this. This has been created by my teacher and mentor, Brooke Castillo from the Life Coach School. But she has trained me in how to use this, and I teach this as well as coach with it as a tool inside my practice. So the premise is that everything in life falls into one of these categories here. We've got circumstances, we've got thoughts, feelings, actions, and results. So I'll start with the top one. Circumstances are things in our world that are factual and that are beyond our control. So they don't come with a predetermined thought or feeling attached to them that everyone in the world would feel or think. So a really good example of a circumstance is, and I use a really emotional one, and that is 9/11. The event of 9/11 was neutral. And it's only when we have a thought about 9/11 that we feel something about it. Not everybody was sad about the events of 9/11. In fact, there are some people out there in the world that thought that 9/11 was a huge success and were really happy. So that just goes to show that there is a circumstance, 9/11. We might disagree with it as much as we want to. Everybody should be very upset with what happened that day, but the reality is not everybody was. So that's what we mean by circumstances. They are neutral. And then the next thing is our thoughts. Now, those are sentences or phrases, obviously, that are running through our brain, and sometimes they come out of our mouth, and so that's conversation. So apparently we have over 60,000 of them a day. I've not personally counted, but it's a lot of thoughts. And especially right now, I imagine there's probably a lot more going on.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about our thoughts is that they are optional. We get to choose what we think. The next thing is our feelings. And I use feelings and emotions interchangeably. And they are vibrations in our body that are caused by our thoughts. So don't get them mixed up with physical sensations like hunger or stubbing your toe or breaking your leg. Feelings are emotions, and they present in the body, like with fear or humiliation, they present in the body in a vibrational way. Okay. Then we have actions. So these are driven by our feelings. And humans only ever do anything because of how we think it is going to make us feel. So, for example, if you feel, and not all humans have the same actions from the same feeling either. So I might do something different when I'm feeling anxious versus you might do something different when you feel anxious. So, for example, if someone feels anxious, they might drink alcohol. Someone else might eat a donut or watch Netflix. Okay, so our actions create, so I'm going through this a little bit quickly, sorry. So our actions create our results. And those are simply the outcomes in our lives, okay? They're the end result of all the action that we take in our lives. So they are our results. And so this is our self-coaching model, and this is what we use. Our circumstances are neutral. We have a thought about them, and that thought creates our feelings, and our feelings drive our actions, and our actions create our results. Cool. So every single thing in life fits in one of these areas here. So I can't think of any exception, and I don't think there is any exception. We're always living inside a model. We're always feeling, we're always thinking, for sure. So I teach clients how to be aware of their thoughts, and I teach them how to get the results that you want in your life by using and going through these models with them. It's really powerful stuff. Yeah.
Certainly sounds it. It's sort of, I know it's only just a quick overview, but
yeah,
something that I think I'd like to hear more about, and I'm sure there's others that are probably watching this going, right?
Yeah.
Sounds like something. I mean, because like I said, it's more tools that we have. Like I use by physical activity, but it's not always going to work. There's got to be other things that I've got to interlink with that sort of thing, and seeing something like this will help me sort of, I guess, break it down even more.
Absolutely.
And help me.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's do one. Should we
Sweet.
do one? Yeah.
Yep. We've got. Well, I see we've got about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
10 minutes.
So it's not going to be. It's not going to be like I said, a deep dive. It might be. It might be just very high level, but it will give you an idea of just how we're always in models and how they're always working for us. So I've just written one up, CTFAR, circumstances first. So let's talk about, I just want to get a few more things to put in this model from you. Okay. So if we use this morning, and do you mind if we use this morning as an example?
No. It probably came at an opportune time, to be honest.
Okay. So we know what some of the actions that you took were.
Yes.
So there was crying.
Yep.
And no one's allowed to judge my terrible writing or my really bad.
Don't worry, I'm left-handed as well. So writing on whiteboards and things, I just can't do.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes.
So there was crying. You talked to your wife.
Yes.
Yep. What else did you do or not do in that event this morning?
How long can the event last? I mean, I did end up going for a run an hour or so after the event, and the event had finished. I mean, it was probably 10, 15 minutes of really ugly crying and having a good chat. And then I went for a run probably an hour or so later, which I still believe was part of me helping that clear my head, is the way I put it.
Absolutely. But that action will have come from a different thought.
Yes,
so
okay.
that action of going for a run would have been a thought of, I don't know, I really want to go for a run to clear my head.
Yeah, okay.
I know that going for a run is going to
Okay.
make me feel better.
So breaking it down even more. Okay, yeah.
For sure.
I mean, it was talking to my wife, actually thinking about it myself as well, and thinking logically about why I was feeling the way I was. But that all did come from all from what Jacinta had said to me and talked to me about. That helped me put everything into perspective.
Yeah, for sure. So it could be that actually for this model, and we won't explore it too much, like I said, the actions were just simply crying and talking to wife.
Yep.
Okay, before you had a new thought, because your wife gave you lots of new thoughts to think, okay, because yours were pretty shitty at the time, which was a good thing. It's a good thing. Okay, so if we go back up here to our circumstance, what was the circumstance of that event this morning?
I think it was just
the true fact.
The true facts. I think I was out for. Well, I don't think I was out for a walk with my son. He was a bit scratchy. I couldn't calm him down, and I was feeling bad because I couldn't do that. And I was feeling like a bad dad at the time, because he was in tears, and it sort of was just, I don't know. I just felt as though I couldn't help him with his issue that he had.
So we will all agree that you went on a walk this morning with your son.
100%.
Okay, we could prove that. So what happened was there were other events, obviously, and circumstances that happened on the walk. And we could, if we were doing this in a coaching session, I would explore that a lot more and put that here.
To be honest, I think even though he's only 2.5, he knows there's something up as well, because he's seen mum and dad all day, every day. And it's that whole, and that's
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, they do. They're very, very clever. And so there were other, like I was saying, there were other circumstances, other events that are neutral here that happened, which led you to have the thought, I am a bad dad, okay, which was not able to calm him down, to change his mood or to get him to do what you're wanting him to do, right?
Yes.
And when you thought, I am a bad dad, how did you feel?
Horrible. It's hard to explain. It's sort of like I felt as though I was letting him down because I couldn't calm him down, and I was feeling as though I was letting myself down because I know I'm not a bad dad. I definitely know I'm not a bad dad.
Exactly.
But it was just one of these things that in that moment I just couldn't cope. I just felt like I couldn't cope. And I just needed, and I think the out for me was that having the cry.
Yeah. So let's just put horrible here.
Yeah.
Because you said, I'm letting myself down, I was letting my son down. They're all just thoughts.
Yeah.
We can't put them up here because not everyone would agree. And in fact, in retrospect, you don't even agree.
No.
It was just what your brain was telling you at the
Yeah.
time, just because of your reaction and your thoughts around what was happening on the walk and everything.
Yes.
Okay, everything's heightened, like I said.
Yeah.
So the reason that you felt horrible was not because the walk with your son was turning pear-shaped and he was, he was upset as well, and it wasn't the lovely dad-son walk that you were thinking it was probably and wanted to have. The reason that you felt horrible was because of this thought, I am a bad dad.
Yeah.
And that thought is optional.
Yeah.
Might not have felt like it in the moment for sure, but it definitely is an optional thought. And that made you feel horrible, which led to the crying and talking to your wife, which gave you a result of, what do you think that resulted in your life?
Well, right now, I know I'm not a bad dad. I've got perspective of what's going on now, and it's logically I can now think about, or how to get through this next period of time.
Absolutely.
And know that we're all in this together, and it's only a period. It's only a short period of time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The result for me was that I'm all good. I am actually doing as good as I can be, and everyone is yeah.
Yeah, for sure, right? That probably, though, comes from a different model of thinking, because for you to get to a result of I'm feeling okay, would come from a different thought.
Yes.
And I see that we've actually just got less than a minute. So it's a little bit unfinished. We would normally flesh it out and get more of a result in there for you. But I think the key thing from here is that your feeling horrible and the crying had nothing to do with your son in the walk.
Oh, no,
it was all to do with what you were thinking up here.
Yeah. And I guess that is the thing I sometimes do have. The thought process, I do need to, I step back to where I was 10 years ago, where I was just negative. I've got to get back into that, just thinking positive the whole time. I know I'm not a bad, the thing is, I know I'm not a bad dad, and that's just that point in time.
Here's the thing too, though, Craig, is that life is 50-50. Okay, we're not entitled to have a happy life all the time. And just by chasing happiness constantly and being disappointed because 50% of life is actually shit, chasing it and expecting it to be good when it's not is what so I completely actually lost my train of thought when we dropped off there. But that's right. Chasing the happiness 100% of the time and expecting our lives to be happy 100% of the time is what causes our suffering, because life is actually 50-50. We do have 50% of a great life and 50% of a really shitty, crappy life. And no one has the right or entitlement or are deserving of a happy life. It's just, unfortunately, a part of our humanness. So
and that's it is those thoughts, I guess. Everyone has them. And that's the thing. It's just, like you say, it's 50-50, and it's what choices we make. And I think, like I say, this with that, we could probably go into a heck of a lot more detail and stuff like that. But I think, it was that I am a bad dad, and that was the bit that I think did tip me over the edge, thinking,
of course it is, because not only is it a blatant lie made up by your brain, but and your brain and your thoughts that are happening, you can observe them. We can get good at observing our thoughts. They are not you. Your thoughts are not you. And it's really important not to judge your brain or yourself for having that thought in the first place, because then you just layer suffering. So you've got the thought, I'm a bad dad, and you feel horrible. And then you've got the thought, I shouldn't be thinking like that. Why am I thinking like that? Which makes you feel even more horrible. So it's just to kind of stop it.
And I think that's probably, the more I was thinking that, the more the wee guy picked up on it. So the more he was getting a little bit more distressed, and it was just a vicious sort of.
It's a perfect storm.
I
know how it goes.
I mean, like I say, the little, he knows something's not up. He's not seeing his little buddies and stuff in daycare, and he's seeing mum and dad all day, every day. So he knows that there's something not up, something up as well. So it's one of these things that I think we're all in it. It is an unknown, and it is just something that, knowing, I keep having to tell myself that, hey, it's just a moment in time, and we'll get through it.
Absolutely. And those are all positive thoughts that make you feel better. So it's all about choosing and positive thoughts in that moment and thinking deliberately. But inside coaching, I just want to say is that because life is 50-50, inside coaching, what we do is we work on being able to process feeling like this, because we're never going to be able to run away from the negative emotion, and being able to live with it without spiraling into depression or drinking alcohol or overeating or those other things that we do to make ourselves feel better externally.
Well, I think we'll wrap it up there.
Okay, cool.
Thank you so much for your time.
You are most welcome.
I think Donna must have, I think
She
her
dropped off.
internet must have been playing up. She froze up a couple of times, but no, thank you so much.
No worries.
And if anyone that has seen this or has been watching and has any questions about it, please feel free just to comment on the video. I did have to, about 10 times, I think we dropped off. So I will put up the full video together. So if anyone's got any questions, and I think in a week or a couple of weeks' time, we can come back. If you're up for it, come back together and we can discuss those as well. And
I'd love to, yeah. We can go back into this in more detail, or we can talk about whatever's happening in 2 weeks' time, because I'm pretty sure it might look a little bit different for us.
100%, 100%. So thank you very much again.
No worries.
And everyone that's watching, take care. Be safe in your bubble. And yeah, we'll all talk again soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Craig.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.